Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast for Tuesday, April 16th. We're talking to Eddie Boron about some MLB, some Las Vegas, and some betting good numbers. Eddie, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Drew. How about you?
I'm doing good. Happy Tuesday morning to you and everyone out there. It is $2 Tuesday at sportsmemo.com, and we got Eddie on. He is the $2 handicapper. He's got his top play 5%er up at sportsmemo.com on tonight's action in the NBA, so check that out. He's been red hot, 19-9 on the season, 68%. That's year to date, selective, and he has a top play going tonight for just $2. So check that out at sportsmemo.com. Eddie, you're a unique handicapper for sportsmemo.com. You're a more of a volume guy. And we do want to give out a special coupon code for the podcast. You can get 30 days all access with Eddie for just $99. That's about the biggest discount we'll give out, and mainly because we want to get people on his service for a longer period of time, because he's more of a volume guy. He's all about betting the numbers, not so much breaking down the games from a matchup standpoint, more betting the good numbers. And he's going to, Eddie, want to turn it over to you and really ask about, kind of your methodology about going at beating the betting markets long term, trying to grab the best numbers, and how you go about doing it.
Well, I sit in front of it's a boring life, but I sit in front of a Don Best screen basically 24/7, and I've learned through the years how to read a screen. So I'm basically a market handicapper. If, for instance, we can use Bet Online, and if you're just starting this, that's a great book. The Mets opened plus 129, and right now you're getting plus 105. So if you get that plus 129, obviously over the course of the season, when you're getting that much difference in the price, you're going to be a winner, a long-term winner, and make quite a bit. So that is, you need the best of the number, and the best of the number over long-term, it's mathematically impossible not to win. It's like, like I explained to you when we were off the air, that, you have 150 black ping pong balls and 100 white. You could lose 15, 20 in a row, but if there's 150 winners there, and 100 losers, you're obviously going to come out better. And that's what the best of the number does, because the market is efficient. It's going to... Go ahead.
No, and that's a great point, and I agree with everything you're saying. The market is efficient. I was just going to ask you about, as far as, do you think it's more important to just have the good number, maybe just say like the New York Mets plus 129, like you said, and you even brought up the fact, a good example there of Bet Online. I believe they are first to market, and in a lot of sports they are, and granted it's lower limits, sometimes 250, sometimes 500, and you think it's more important to actually grab that good number, even if the bet ultimately loses, than being on a winning bet, right?
Oh yeah, you're not kidding. If I get a play, I care more about the number, because that means basically long term I'm going to make money. If I'm playing bad numbers, long term I'm going to lose. So even if I get -9, say, on the total for the Mets, and it closes -8, and I'm on the over, even if I win that, to me it's a lose, because I'm not knowing what I'm doing. I'm not getting the best of the number, because that's not going to happen, 99 times out of 100. It's just a bad number. You can't win unless the number is in your favor, or plus even.
And Eddie, let me ask you about a situation, because I mostly agree with you, although it's like in sports like MLB or NFL, I would say yes, you're spot on. But what about a sport like, let's just say, small conference college football? It's week 2, and I'm going to throw out a hypothetical situation here. Kent State is not loved by the betting markets. They most likely won't be. But they have a quarterback, and he's an above-average MAC athlete. He's accurate, and he's underrated. He was under-recruited for whatever reason. And Kent State isn't getting the money the first couple weeks of the season, yet me as a sports bettor, I saw this week 1. I'm jumping on it, even though I'm getting not the good numbers, for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In my opinion, that's still the right bet. Now, you might not be involved in this situation. If that's the case, just say so. But in that situation, do you still think getting the right number is still the right bet?
No. But in my case, I'm never the originator. What you're talking about, you're originating. So your opinion is actually better than what the market's saying. And definitely, if you have information like that, you're going to originate that play and the market's going to be wrong. So no, I'd want to know that information from you. That's another thing I do. I spend a lot of money on information. Anybody that moves the line, I try to have their information so I can get a feel for what they're doing and actually make their play before they make it. And it's possible. If you look at someone like RAS, he won't even put up his finals anymore. Just what it graded out at is because people like me will start playing his plays before he does. They'll notice there's an injury, and that Ed obviously thinks it's worth, this percent, and the market doesn't. So, it's little things like that a market handicapper does.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. And, so just about the number and the fact that you can jump on it before, I guess, the market comes in. They open up, Chris will open up its limits at 8 a.m. Pacific time, maybe a little bit before, depending on the sports season. But what time do you usually jump into the market then, personally?
Personally, I don't. I hear so many people get kicked out of books and all of that, but I will wager, if it's a good line, I don't care if the book only lets me have $25, I'll play it. And so I started at 4 a.m. when the earliest groups start. So, from time to time, like this year in basketball, they had overnights for college basketball. So obviously I'm playing as soon as it starts because that's when the lines are going to move. Now you'll have some setups for in the morning, where they're going to pound it, for bigger money. But I also, from doing this, can recognize those. So, Penny does it all the time, and there's some, if you ever get the steam through a Don Best, and you'll see a list of books that they use where it got hit at. Now, those books become important because you follow those books, and you know if the line move is real. You'll see it, and you'll actually be able to get the play down.
And do you mind explaining for somebody out there that's maybe a little bit newer to betting as far as like what the setup is when you said that? Now some of it is set up in the morning.
Okay, so for instance, say this. We'll take college basketball for instance. Say there's a 150, and from the setup how they're playing. It's a 150 over, and you can tell they're going to play it under because Pinnacle's got you laying 150 on the over, so it's holding all the other lines. Because for whatever reason, they've done this for years. They follow Penny. These books just copy them. The funniest thing is you'll have a second half play. If Penny puts up the wrong number, and they've done that a couple times, where it's 10 points off. The whole board will be 10 points off. And then when they finally fix it, the whole board fixes it. It's such a copycat. But Pinnacle can keep and change the whole market. And that's where I look at. They call it the penny lean, which isn't the only place they do that now. There's some paper heads that you got to pay close attention to.
And are the pay for heads? And by the way, that's kind of gaining steam nowadays. Just from my personal experience, as far as pay for head's becoming pretty big in the industry. Are they just cloning Pinnacle, or are they actually making their own numbers in your experience?
Some of them make their own number. Because there's some of them where you can get down a lot of money, whereas Pinnacle has really cut back on the amount you can get down, but the screen still gives it a lot of seriousness. They still think it leads, which it really doesn't. But they pay attention to it, so you have to pay attention to it.
Okay. And Eddie, as far as Bet Online being first to market and Pinnacle, sometimes Pinnacle won't come out with totals very early at all. Do you know why that is?
Because they don't want to take totals. What we went through a few years where they wouldn't even put totals up on anything but TV games. And the easiest thing to see what's easy to beat and what's hard is, how much they'll take. For instance, March Madness. They'll basically give you whatever they want to take, whatever you want. And that's because the lines are so tight, you're flipping a coin. But during the season, those small schools, there's edges out there. And that's when, that's basically when people make their money.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that you can't make money on March Madness, but it is more of a coin flip than early in the year.
Eddie, do you think it's easier to make money in the beginning of a sports season, middle, end, or do you think it really doesn't matter?
No, it matters. I think the beginning of conference play, and then it gets very tight. By the time these teams have seen each other once, the market gets pretty efficient.
And what about in Major League Baseball? Do you think that there's a difference between the beginning, middle, and end, or not as much?
Definitely, just about every sport. Especially when you get in what they call the dog days. It just gets to be ridiculous because there really is no rhyme or reason. You've seen groups that just absolutely quit at that time, and it's just because there's no value.
And then just take August off and get ready for football?
Yeah, that's the great thing about if you're doing this on your own. If it's not going good, you just stop that sport.
Right.
But
and how long have you been doing this professionally?
It'll be 21 years since 1998.
And all of those years in Las Vegas?
No. I moved here in Las Vegas because of it was net teller. You used to be able to get your money in and out, and the law. They had a law that passed, and they were really going to make it difficult on offshores. And so I moved here. I wanted to move here anyway because of the books here. Although their limits are bad, they're also slow. Line moves go offshore first and then come into Vegas. A lot of these books, you have a minute to place your bet with the steam going across the screen. So, if you can get a good number on every steam play, that's money.
Absolutely. So in your experience, the Vegas books are following Pinnacle and Chris moves. Does it ever work the other way around?
Very seldom.
But
very
you've
seldom.
seen it?
Very seldom have I seen it. I know here in town, if I place a wager over at the M, like this was before you had the apps, I would place it, and if your name is hot, by the time you get to the other side to the Hilton or Westgate right now, the numbers moved. So they'll move it in town. Certain books like the M can move the whole town. So it's really hard to place a max wager. That's why you hear people getting kicked out. Now you need to stay under the limits. If you hit these books with limit plays every time, they're going to kick you out.
And I have a personal question as far as, because I've gotten into this with Bet Online as far as, I don't hit the limit. I just write it in, $10 less than the limit and place that. Do you think that's keeping me under the radar a little bit or no?
Depends how much you win. Because they'll notice you if you bet sharp numbers. And if you bet, I worked for a group, and I bet at the M, and I was betting for them. And they made my name so hot that basically I could bet a $200 side play, and they'd move the line a half point. I mean, and the limit was 2,000. It was ridiculous.
Man, that's interesting. Okay, well, what about living in guys? By the way, we're talking with Eddie Boron on Sportsmemo.com. He's got a play up tonight on the NBA playoffs. Check it out. He's the $2 handicapper. It'd normally be $30. Today, it's just $2. So, having a good conversation with him about betting numbers, and we're going to get into the different kinds of sports books here. But really, Eddie's a great handicapper for a longer term package, and we got a special coupon code for the podcast. We'll run it through midnight tomorrow, and it's his 30-day all access service, and it's normally $325 but for the podcast we're going to reduce it to just $99, so huge savings there with the coupon code Eddie99. That's Eddie99, EDDIE 99 at checkout. We'll give you his 30-day all access for just $99. And a lot of times, Eddie, you'll release the plays the night before, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's something you want to check out the night before and also the day of, just in case he releases anything more. But it's 30-day all access for $99, normally $325, using the coupon code Eddie99 at checkout. Eddie99 at checkout. So, Eddie, as far as sports books in Las Vegas go, which ones are your favorite?
Oh, definitely the ones that everyone gets kicked out of, and that would be William Hill, Coast, Stations. And then I got money in Treasure Island. I've got money in every app available in Vegas. They all have a reason. And Treasure Island, they'll only let me bet $100 on a halftime play. But they'll also, the whole market could be moved, and they're sitting there at 3, and everyone else is 3.5. So I'll take that half point. And plus you have time to bet, what everyone else can. I mean, so I don't see why you pass up good numbers in any circumstance.
And Eddie, do you ever find problems moving money from one book to the other, or do you always, just cash out and then add the money to the other sports book?
Well, with the here in Vegas, I mean, it's not hard, but you always offshore. I mean, it's always a worry. I don't, outside of Chris. You have some concerns. I do anyway. I don't like having huge amounts there, but yet, you pretty well have to. I mean, especially the way I play. I mean, if I have, 20, 30 plays going, I'm gonna need money there. So,
and what about, oh no, keep going. Sorry about that.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to kind of change the subject here to like your lifestyle. Do you ever are you 100% about sports betting at the sports book, 100% all the time concentrating on that, or do you enjoy the casino and the restaurants and all that kind of fanfare with Las Vegas?
No, my life's boring. I mean, my family will go on vacation to Hawaii, and I won't go. I mean, I am addicted to this screen. I'm obsessed with the numbers. I mean, if I go just out to a restaurant for a bit, if I don't have my tablet with me with the numbers there, I mean, I'm not happy.
Really?
So yeah, it's a
next level.
Yeah, it's a very boring life. There's nothing glamorous about it.
So, do you drink?
No, I don't drink. This is all I do.
Okay.
And so.
No, that's a good thing, man. I guess I was going to say it's healthy, but I guess if you're only
no, it's unhealthy. No, I'm overweight, and I have weights in my room, but hell, I won't even. I at times I'll be like, well, I don't even have time to do that.
Yeah,
I'll miss numbers.
No, you're preaching to the choir as far as that goes. Sometimes I'll notice that around sunset, I'll just be like, I have to go walk around the neighborhood. Take 20 minutes and do that because I'm a human being and there's something telling me what I'm doing is not healthy. Do you ever do that?
Oh, man, yeah, and I get yelled at all the time by the wife because she calls this my island. I mean, All you do is stay on your island. So, I mean, it's hard on a family.
Well, at least you're paying the bills, man. Living in Las Vegas, it's a good place to live, right?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well, good stuff, Eddie. And guys, he's got his 30-day all-access service for $99 with the podcast special here. Coupon code Eddie99 at checkout. That's Eddie99 for his 30-day all-access service. And yeah, he's a good guy to have for a longer period of time because he's going to put out more volume the night before, try to get the good numbers. So it's a little bit tougher with just one play. But if you're into that, check it out. We're not going to stop you at sportsmemo.com. His top play today is just $2. It's in the NBA. Check it out right when you go to the homepage. It's the feature play, his NBA total, and he is hitting 68%. So it is just a small sample size, but it is has been good out the gate. Eddie, is there anything else you want to throw out there to the listeners about your process, your lifestyle, and really anything at all before we shut this down?
No, I haven't had... like I said, I mean, I invest in information, so narrowing down the plays just for like the best play today, I mean, I've become rather good at that. I mean, because I want the best of the number, but for a service, you also want to win, in these small plays. But, so basically, you can play my plays that way because I in my personal life, I can't make money that way because I have to play a certain amount of plays to be able to cover bills. I mean, books just don't let you bet unless it's baseball or huge sports. I mean, my best sport is basketball, college. So you're dealing with smaller limits, and that's totals. So I mean, you're really dealing with small limits. So I have to play a lot of plays. But as far as narrowing it down, I mean, I haven't had a problem with that so far because I can spot a good number, and it's worked out for me so far that I've known enough just from watching live that I've been able to cash winners with them.
No, that makes sense. That makes good sense, Eddie. And I appreciate the time. I know you're busy. You got to get back to the screen, make the personal bets. Professional bettor in Las Vegas, Eddie Boron on Twitter at Eddie Boron, and he's got his $2 play up at sportsmemo.com. It's $2 Tuesday for April 16th here, and normally $30 discounted to $2, but even more so, the podcast special coupon code Eddie99. That's Eddie99 at checkout for his 30-day all access for just $99. Trying to get people on that. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow talking some soccer betting with Nick Borman. Eddie, thanks for the time, and best of luck with your bets.
No problem, buddy.